Warning, spoilers are present in this podcast.
Third World Cinema Club.
Welcome to Third World Cinema Club. I'm John Tawasil from Present Confusion.
Hi, I'm Princess Kinok of Film Police Reviews.
And for this special episode, Anak Mindanao episode. Ganun eh.
Anak Mindanao episode.
Yes, alam mo ba, Jayla, tayo we're from, alam mo na I'm from Mindanao, pero si John, he's also from Mindanao.
Yeah, my father's
Oh.
Tausug. Yeah.
Wow!
Tausug siya. So this is a perfect episode.
Perfect
because the
casting.
triumvirate from Mindanao.
No, retracing roots.
Yes.
So, joining us today is festival programmer, film critic, and also filmmaker who recently made the short documentary Budots the Craze. Yeah, Jay Rosas.
Hello.
Yay!
Magandang gabi. Maayong gabi. Thank you sa Third World Cinema Club for inviting me to this podcast.
Yay!
Yay, okay. So, we'll be talking about 4 films from the recently concluded Mindanao Film Festival. 3 of those are from the official competition section, and we'll also be talking about a feature-length film from the exhibition section. So, before we start, Jay, could you tell us a bit about the Mindanao Film Festival and a little bit of background?
Okay. So, yung Mindanao Film Festival is dubbed as the longest running regional film festival in the Philippines kasi 18th year na niya today, this year. So yun, 18 years na siya, and I think I don't know when exactly is the start, but somewhere along 2005 2007 kasi it started actually as a guerrilla film festival, yung pangalan niya, kasi the films that were exhibited there were outputs of guerrilla filmmaking workshop. So kaya siya guerrilla film festival. And then yung mga organizers before, sina Dax Cañedo, Kenneth Bajo, they were the ones who parang renamed the festival kasi it's an interesting piece of historical trivia ng festival kasi parang may nag-raise daw ng concern with the title of the festival kasi nga Guerrilla Film Festival, and the festival was associated with parang the left, parang army yata yung nag-raise ng concern na parang ano ba tong festival niyo, is this parang a leftist film festival. Pero yun, parang in-explain nila na ganun yung concept ng guerrilla filmmaking, pero yeah, eventually they changed it to Mindanao Film Festival, which I think mas apt naman kasi nga Mindanao siya. So yun, actually I joined the festival 2018 as festival programmer. So dati yung nagpo-program talaga ng films was the festival director, si Rudolph. Rudolph is festival director for 6 years. And then, I don't know actually kung ano yung programming nila before, but when I got in, they asked me to help program the festival. Parang yun, nag-introduce ako ng mga ways to program, yung mga thematic programming, mga ganun, and then other stuff sa programming. And then, yun din yung time na may mga submissions from non-Mindanao filmmakers and Asian filmmakers, and then I strongly recommended na parang i-open na lang din yung Mindanao Film Festivals to non-Mindanao works kasi parang yun naman yung trajectory ng mga film festivals. Kahit regional siya, some of the regional film festivals here in the Philippines are also going global, and I think with the experience of the pandemic this year, that everything shifted to virtual consumption of films, parang it accelerated parang naging way din siya to in a way globalize yung film viewing, and it's a good opportunity for Mindanao filmmakers to also get to know especially yung mga student filmmakers, to get to know that there's like a filmscape out there, outside of Mindanao also. So yun, brief background ng, it has always been conducted sa isang local mall dito. So doon siya ever since actually. Doon siya parang ini-screen, ini-exhibit yung films. And then ngayon lang siya nag-online version.
Okay. Have you received any feedback siguro from non-Mindanao audiences who have discovered the festival for the first time nung pinalabas niya sa YouTube?
Actually, parang sa akin personally, parang wala naman specific like feedback. Siguro from what I got from the technical team, Kinadax, was that I don't know the exact number, pero mga 16,000 or 18,000 hits daw yung YouTube channel. So I guess may certain expansion ng audience because
Nice.
because honestly, ako personally 18 years na ang Mindanao Film Festival, but I only got to know about it like during its 10th year, I think. So I guess siguro it also goes with the evolution of yung local filmmaking scene, na dati it's just a close knit group of people, and then eventually it grew. Parang ganun din yung trajectory na nakikita ko talaga sa local film communities, na I guess yun, because mas grabe yung exposure for the past decade in terms of social media, digital technology, kaya din mas nagigain din ng viewership outside their own locality. So, yun. Hindi ko specifically when it comes to the feedback, wala pa akong na-receive so far that was like addressed to me regarding the feedback. Siguro may sino ba yun? Si Sir Patrick Campos nag-message siya sa akin regarding the programming. Pero it was more of like asking like paano yung naging and then nag-comment naman siya dahil sa diversity daw ng films, and that we were able to screen Asian non-Mindanao films. Yun.
Ayun. So with that said, let's go on to our discussion of the films, some of the films in this festival. First of all, let's discuss the winner of best film in the festival, Mael, directed by Prince Nor Anzari Matalam. So the synopsis is, during the peak of Moro Revolution, Mael, a young Moro fighter, is forced to leave the front lines to study abroad, but faces challenges harder than fighting in the field. All right. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on Mael?
Yun. Actually, when the time that we were watching the films for programming, isa talaga siya sa mga nag-stand out for me because of particularly because of the narrative, kasi it really highlighted yung narrative of the current yung current sentiment or current preoccupation ng Bangsamoro population, which is now it's transitioning into this new government after the passage of the Bangsamoro organic law. Yung creating the new BARM government. And parang for me, it was a reflection of ano yung preoccupation ng Bangsamoro population. So that's what stood out for me. I think it tries to distill a lot. It tries to distill history in such a short time. Yun lang siguro yung what I think is it might be a disadvantage, but I think it's also a reflection of how Moro filmmakers, especially yung mga budding ones, are wanting to express, I guess because wala silang platform before, what their sentiments are. No, it's also worth noting that it's the first time actually. No, it's the second time. The first time that the Bangsamoro held a film festival of their own was during the time of the former governor. Yung pa patapos na yung term, no? That was the Moro Film Festival. Um, and then with the new transitioning Barm government, ito yung parang, there was a festival called Bangsamoro Short Film Festival. Medyo ano siya, medyo yung play of words depende sa 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 makakarinig, but medyo funny, but I think it's worth noting then that parang first time nila na nagkaroon ng parang ganung klaseng platform for Moro filmmakers to showcase naman their cinematic tradition, and makikita mo talaga sa mga films yung how they want to express kasi nga yung kakulangan ng Moro narrative sa Philippine cinema, maybe nag-reflect doon sa for example sa Mael, yung kagustuhan nila to also try to tackle as much coverage, even like yung history of the Moro conflict for such a short time. No? It could be a disadvantage siguro if it's a short film, but nandun yung, what's the term, fervor. Nandun yung kagustuhan nila to tell the narratives and to present a Mindanao that is in the cusp of this change, this transition, and I think yun yung na-capture ng Mael that I really like. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on all of your points, no? Especially yung part na I guess disadvantage talaga sa kanya yung kanyang short running time, because it unfortunately parang hindi niya naipakita yung context behind yung struggle ng Bangsamoro people. So, bakit sila lumalaban? Bakit why they're fighting for independence? I mean, it's touched a little bit upon in dialogue, pero yun nga. Although, I also agree na yung part na, well, spoiler alert, basta yung medyo flash forward na look what happened, look at the fruits of our labor, no? Yun yung a bit very hopeful yung ending niya compared dun sa start na yun nga parang this is a conscious decision by the people to lay down their arms and try to build something better with the government in order to gain independence. And also tama nga, no? Sobrang konti ng Moro filmmakers out there. I don't really know of too many, parang konting-konti lang talaga, and I'm glad na this kind of perspective gets shown. Hopefully in the future mas ma-expand nila yung idea behind this. I mean it's there naman the idea behind it. So yon.
Tsaka
parang if I could just add, since usually yun nga pag may papalabas dito na na film about Mindanao, ganyan, yun nga parang laging meron silang romanticization of the whole thing when it's not really romantic. It's not even as tragic as it sounds. There's just a really different kind of story na pwede mong ma-unfold from the Moro people. So yun. So it's good na yun nga, may ganitong klaseng film kasi it could open more people to see, in the shoes of the actual people who actually live and experience living in Mindanao or in Bangsamoro.
Yeah. Jay, you had something to add?
Yeah, I guess aside from the platform, parang in the form of parang regional film festivals, and siguro like as an extension and as an expansion to it, venues like Cinema Region, siguro maybe more opportunities for them to develop their craft in terms of like yung sa technical part, no? Kasi may mga ibang submissions then from the ARM. Actually, I think this year was, I don't know for the past kasi wala din naman akong nakikita masyado, but I think this year has the most number, I think, of submissions from Bangsamoro. We even have a documentary from Lanao del Sur, and I've been to that place, and parang it's so remote. It's so remote, coastal community, and yet may filmmaker doon na reach yung area na yun. Um, uh, so yun, I think sana may opportunities din for them to refine their craft, their storytelling. Para yun, they could also like compete, for example, kahit in the regional or national levels, yun. Pero nagsisimula na siya actually. Yung sinabi ko na short film festival last year, in which Mael come from, I think nagkaroon din sila ng mga workshops. So I guess kailangan lang ma-sustain yun, no? Yun, siguro.
Yun, no? Tama.
I have a question. Meron ka bang pwedeng i-share sa amin like how nung process na napili niyo si Mael to be part of the festival? Meron ka bang like mga konting behind the scenes na trivia na pwedeng i-share?
Kung process, actually yung sa amin kasi although ako yung credited na programmer, but actually si Rudolph, kami dalawa parang nag-come up din ng list individually, and then nag-discuss kami. Then similar din naman yung sentiments namin towards Mael. Actually parang almost kasi yung submissions this year actually konti lang siya than the usual. There was a time na I was still a jury that time, 2014 yata yun, at saka 2017 or 2016 na umabot sa 100 yung kailangan naming panoorin. Tapos I think that was the time na sinabi ko na pwede bang at your level magkaroon na ng shortlisting kasi para nakakapagod sa jury na panoorin lahat yung 100. Kahit short film yan, parang we have to watch it just one time. And then what if may na-miss ka? And it happens, no, when you deliberate, for example, tapos may nakita yung isang jury na short film na may nakita siyang something, and then when you watch it again, oo nga pala, no, but it's a consequence of having watched too many short films in one sitting, for example, na may nami-miss ka, diba, na kailangan panoorin mo siya for a second time. So I think it's a good thing din na ngayon na may programming na at least na shortlist siya in a way para pagdating sa jury at least may convenient din for them, no, kasi parang imagine watching like 100 short films. And expected din naman siya kasi nga lahat ng in a way yung mga regional film festivals all across different regions in Mindanao, para nagsasubmit sila sa Mindanao Film Festival. So expected din na parang marami din talaga yung nagsasubmit. Pero yeah, yun, when it comes to the process, parang yun, I think similar kami ni Rudolph Film Festival Director when it comes to the selection namin. Konti lang yung mga need namin na i-discern na kung kasali ba or hindi.
Galing. Sounds like a very exhausting pero fun na job din. Ayun.
Okay, so let's move on to the next film. This is a feature-length film from the exhibition section.
So it's not exactly part of the
hindi siya part ng
finalists.
So the title of this film is Oligase, or Demon of Fear. So it's about a tribal girl named Laha who, despite growing up illiterate, embarks on a journey to obtain an education. She refuses to believe her tribe's beliefs about the titular Oligase, which is a demon that eats students or devours students. This was directed by two directors, John Valdez-Tan and Iko Gonzalez. I think one of them was a director for TV for a long time. I remember the introduction. But anyway, this film won the jury prize in Mindanao Film Fest. Not jury prize, special citation.
Special citation.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Oligase,
Wait lang. Ano pala, is the filmmaker from Mindanao or nag-migrate lang sila sa Mindanao?
I don't think
Actually, no. Both
no.
of them are from Manila.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed something pala when it comes to sa programming.
Mm-mm.
Kasi yung parang criteria ng Mindanao, yung ng MFF is that um, for it to be accepted sa Mindanao Film Fest, kailangan hindi siya, not necessarily the filmmaker comes from Mindanao. The film could be shot in Mindanao or yung subject matter niya Mindanao, so not necessarily the filmmaker comes from Mindanao. So there's another docu in Mindanao on Marawi that were
Mm-mm.
made by UP Diliman students, I think. Um, and it was accepted because it was shot entirely in Marawi and it talked about the Marawi siege. So
Mm.
parang may ganong criteria yung MFF na I think before pa yan na criteria nila.
All right.
Interesting. Okay. Commercial lang yon before you guys talk about the film. Kasi may narinig akong feedback about the film. So,
Yeah.
I guess, John, maybe you could start.
Okay. To put it mildly, I did not like Oligase. There were parts. It reminded me a lot of the 2015 film Ligao by Paolo Tesico, which premiered at the 50 Film Festival. Uh, Ligao was a faith-based film. And Oligase follows the similar structure, although transplanted sa isang katutubo na milieu, which actually makes it worse, to be honest. Kasi ang daming unfortunate subtexts na lumalabas. So if you're framing, if the filmmakers were framing this as a journey towards the gift of education, parang ultimately in the end education didn't matter to any of the characters. And also because kasi the structure of some, not all faith-based films is parang suffering porn na tipong these characters go through a lot of suffering. Tapos in this case, since you transplanted it sa katutubong milieu, yung parang pinapalabas niyo na yung lumalabas na yung mga katutubo ay very dramatic, erupt in histrionics, yung parang they'd rather be uneducated, ganon. And yung naging salvation of all the characters is a literal parang deus ex machina, talagang religion, di ba? Which brings a lot of parang colonialist, bullshit to it na parang abandon your heathen beliefs in favor of this Western religion that we have for you. And it really left a bad taste in my mouth kasi parang maybe they mean well, pero it really comes across not well for me. And also, a lot of these people are non-actors. They're actual, members of a indigenous community, and they have actually yung base doon sa end credits kasi they reveal the stories of these people eh. So these people have actually very interesting stories. I'd like to learn what their real stories are instead of casting them as prostitutes, as parang criminals. And also to segue from that, there's a lot of sexual violence in the film towards women na hindi it just feels parang it just feels like it was contrived to give the characters a hard time. And also siguro balik tayo dun sa last quest for education, the one person that she believed in getting an education, parang na-betray pa siya doon. And yun, parang the stealth point of this movie is Papa Jesus, ganun. So anyway, yeah, I really didn't like this film. I'm sorry, but Jay, I'd like to hear your thoughts about this film.
Yeah. Actually, when while I was still watching Oligase, parang because I haven't heard of the term before.
Yeah.
So ginugol ko siya if it is really a Matigsalog mythology. And wala akong makita sa internet. So that's why I was asking my friends who have experience working with the Matigsalog. And yun, may mga versions nga na it's part of their folklore or mythology. Pero the way to describe it is parang different to what the film is trying to depict what Oligase is. Kasi parang di ba yung English title is The Demon of Fear?
Yeah.
And then, may nagsabi sa akin na friend na may historical indigenous context yung demon na yun, no? So baka hindi talaga siya what the film is trying to depict as this evil, no, lurking in their community or outside their community. And I think may attempt naman ng film na i-personify yung evil na yun in the form of civilization, modernity, pero hindi yan naging napaka-dated niya in terms of kasi using prostitution, sexual violence. In the end, parang yun, dated is a very dated narrative device to portray that evil or road towards redemption. And yun talaga na-bother talaga ako kasi in a way, did the filmmakers, kasi it was based pala on a book that was made by, or that was written by a pastor, no, who did, I guess, a missionary mission, a mission there in the Matigsalog community. So doon based yung movie. So I guess yung point of view ng film is taken from that book of written by the pastor.
Yeah.
No? So gina-joke nga namin, or like ako with other friends na parang may genre nga talaga ng parang evangelical cinema siya kasi parang gets naman yung point na they're trying to spread the word and through cinema, parang ganun. Pero may mga ganung klaseng movies naman sa Hollywood, diba, for example, pero refined naman yung storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, gets mo yung point of view niya, no, evangelism and all that, pero yun nga, refined yung storytelling, hindi dated yung techniques and narrative devices, for example. Kaya yun, medyo siya, yeah. Mahirap din, no? Mahirap siya, mahirap.
From the sound of it, from the looks of it, para siyang noble savant, which is usually ang misrepresentation sa indigenous people na pag noble savant kasi na parang mahirap lagi yung mga, kunwari, yan, mga Matigsalog. Pag pumunta ng Manila yan, syempre, di naman sila familiar sa civilized na surroundings. So, what they would do is they would ask for money sa streets. Pero hindi naman nila alam na mahirap pala yung dating, indigent ang tingin sa ganun. So, which is the common misconception with films na they try to insinuate some sort of indigenous aspect to it, which is also dangerous kasi yun nga parang, di ba, not to generalize all Manileños here, pero ang hirap kasi na yun, parang very prevalent sa atin yung misrepresentation. Tsaka parang kung sino man yung, I mean, kung maririnig naman to ng filmmakers, parang naka-double whammy sila doon kasi naglagay ka ng evangelistic aspect sa isang indigenous na story, which is a double-edged sword, if you might ask me. Kasi parang, di ba, it's kind of like you're changing the narrative, which you shouldn't. So,
yan may dating na, well, in missionary work or in any mga ganyang proselytizing mga works may parang na uplifting the natives parang do they need to be uplifted.
I'm rolling my eyes right now.
And yun nga the film was based on a novel by an outsider, and ramdam na ramdam mo yung outsider's like perspective on the whole thing, which really wala lang, I don't know, it's really hits me the wrong
Cringe-worthy. Sayang kasi maganda yung narrative ng Matigsalog about the flesh-eating beasts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if familiar ka dun, John. Pero, di ba, Jay, ang dami kasing, parang lahat tata ng tribes, may
Mm.
share tayo ng narrative na may isang ibon na
Mm.
nangangain ng tao, ganun, nung
Mm.
mga unang panahon. And hindi siya figurative speech. Talaga naniniwala sila na
Mm.
meron talagang ganun.
Yeah.
Mm. Tsaka, I was reminded lang kasi na point out ni John yung colonialist perspective, and it was codified sa film because of if you remember yung Apple America, yung scene na yun, it was repeated twice, and parang evangelist na and then colonialist pa, di ba?
Oh my God.
Double whammy.
Double whammy na talaga siya. So next time, sana ganun no, Jay, pag kunyari may gagawa ng films about the IPs, dapat may taga-check sila kung accurate. Calling FAP, char. Wow, ayan.
FAP talaga. FDCP na lang siguro.
Joke lang.
Parang in an ideal world talaga, yung indigenous peoples mismo yung gumagawa ng words. Pero yung parang in lieu of that, habang wala pa tayo masyadong filmmakers na IPs, para at the very least man lang, consult them with the filmmaking process. And,
yeah. Correct. Jay, pingin nga akong kopya. Lalagay ko nga sa ano yan. Sa article ko dun, Kate.
Actually, tinanong ko yan sa Q&A nila. Di ako nag-moderate, di ba? But I asked them, tawag dito, are you aware of how did you handle yung cultural appropriation? Do you know how to parang sensitively deal with this topic, given that you will always be perceived as, somebody from the outside, and your perspective will be somebody from the outside? And then I think their answer was like, we hired naman actors that are matigsalog, and then parang I think some of the actors are part of the church. And so parang part din yata sila ng pag-develop daw ng story, So, but then again, yung source material itself, the story itself comes from a pastor coming from the outside coming in, introducing this different worldview apart from what they have been used to.
Cess, do you have any more questions for us?
Pero talagang taga-matigsalog yung non-actors pala yung nag-portray.
Yeah.
Wala naman na. So that's really interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I think it's rare sa discussions on Mindanao filmmaking in terms of cultural appropriation. So it's really not a good place for Oligase to be in that kind of spectrum, Pero sana if they're gonna make another film,
it is what
not
it
like
is.
that. Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on to kayong dalawa naman ang magdi-discuss nito. Living Dead. It's directed by Conrad de la Cruz. It's a horror film. And the description is simply, when the clock hits 12 midnight, a horrific event unfolds. So, I guess from what you saw, Princess, ikaw naman, what do you think of Living Dead?
Kasi ang dating niya sa akin is parang cyberpunk na horror parang it would probably be appealing to younger audiences. Dito wala naman siyang any na cultural appropriation, pero it really reminded me of Octogod. Although si Octogod is like otherworldly siya na film, pero itong si Living Dead to Hell and Back is really, it's kind of out there na parang maganda actually yung effects niya. So natutuwa ako pagka yung mga taga Mindanao, they make films na out of the ordinary, na parang same with Cebuano filmmakers. Parang feeling ko yun yung similarities ng Visayan films, parang medyo out there tayo mag-isip, gano'n. I think. Kaya yun. So parang siguro kung ano yung pagkukulang ni Oligase in terms of symbolism, si Living Dead to Hell and Back naman yung medyo, from what I saw, parang yun yung mas madami siyang na-contribute. Kasi nga parang ano tayo, para tayong nasa confused state. At the same time, parang with yung lead character, she's trying to take form into something that she's really not.
Mhm.
Pero she's able to manifest it. So, yun.
It hit me a bit para siyang fleshed out na yung fatigue ni James Mayo, no? Parang
Yeah.
di ba? Nireflect niya yung state natin during this very weird period in human history. We're being we're parang holed up in these parang four walls na all sorts of unnatural weird things are happening to us. So, yun nga very interesting yung approach mo na yun nga yung parang body horror-ish na thing na nangyayari, tapos the whole cyberpunky visual things na nangyayari din. I think in one of our earlier conversations before we began the podcast, you can also compare it to Octogod, which is entry in Cinemalaya, no? Which is naman. I liked it, yun lang. Wala ko masyadong masabi kasi yun. Pero how about you, Jay? What did you think about Living Dead?
Actually yung Living Dead for me I think is the most memorable sa lahat ng mga na-program namin kasi sino ba yung nagtanong? Basta may nagtanong sa akin na may nakikita ka na bang stand out sa films na na-program mo? Sabi ko, oo, yung Living Dead. I guess it goes to show na kasi for me hindi siya perfect film. Flawed yung, in a way, may flaw siya in execution kasi somewhere in the middle, may paglaylay nung execution niya. Hindi, may something in the middle that parang tawag nito. Yun, I think laylay is the term that I don't know paano siya pag-express. But I really like how conceptual it is and hindi siya narrative or I mean, there's a basic plot siguro na makita mo pero hindi I think yun yung strongest part ng film but yung pagka-conceptual niya. And I think yun nga, tama yung sinabi mo dyan. For me, ito yung film that really reflected out of all the entries, yung state of anxiety, yung state of in-betweenness, na parang lucid state of all these experiences that we have during the pandemic. And yun, it's also very exciting to see, like sabi ni Princess na medyo daring, may pagka-daring, may pagka-adventurous din yung filmmaker. Tsaka nakikita ko din sa kanya yung, I think he's cinephile kasi maraming, I think, references to like Tarantino and mga ganun. And actually, yung film niya last year also won jury prize. So, this year, jury prize din siya. And ganun yung aesthetics niya, yung parang super bright, parang tingkad na colors that really in-your-face visuals. Yun yung parang style niya na nakikita ko. Na I think maganda siya as an emerging voice. For example, in Mindanao Cinema kasi I don't know, para may iba naman yung flavor. I mean, nato-typecast kasi diba din yung Mindanao film that hindi naman siya negative but you know when you say Mindanao film, may ano ba dyan? IP character or IP story ba yan? Or Muslim film ba yan? So, I think maganda siyang example for me, yung filmmaker as parang yun, an emerging voice na iba naman yung gusto niyang ikwento. Yun.
Actually, no? Yeah, I agree, no? It's parang may emerging genre, subgenre of parang cinema na, parang pandemic cinema, no? Parang, of course, films reflect the zeitgeist. So parang yun nga, parang there are a lot of films now that parang try to articulate or para express what we're all feeling right now. And I agree with Living Dead. Yun. So, let's move on to the last film. Wow, okay. You Are Here, directed by Neo Bryce. This was filmed in Panabo City, which is in Davao del Norte, no?
Mm-mm.
So the synopsis is: as the countdown begins for the end of the world, Lou Araulio tries to make amends with his mother and his ex-boyfriend. With only a few hours left, will he get the closure he needs?
Mhm.
Yon.
Oh.
It's a very there's an interesting siguro parallel with yung cinema, yung this state of the pandemic right now, and parang apocalyptic like cinema. I remember during the early months of the pandemic, I started, for some reason, no, I started watching yung mga very bleak end of the world films. Parang like The Day After, Threads, yan yung mga ganyan. Very, very dark films about devastated lives. I think there's a little bit of parang connect with it. I guess the bleakness of knowing something is ending, or the transition, parang what would you do if you only had like only a few hours to live? And it contextualizes it in this social media age now. Most of the visuals in this film are composed of like Instagram stories, of posts, of like voice recordings, messages between, usually ito one-sided, between the son and the mother na hindi sumasagot. And in terms of feel, for some weird reason, I'm not sure, siguro ako lang to, it reminded me of that 1998 film Too Tired to Die, directed by Shin Won-suk, starring Takeshi Kaneshiro. I don't know if you've seen that. Pero
Mira Sorvino.
Miro Sorvino, yeah. It's that's the guy. It's a guy who's given only 12 hours to live. So parang, pero instead of like doing something grand or doing something he's just mulling around, waiting for the end of the world, and may sense na parang ganun eh. Although may at least ito medyo may sense of urgency na parang I have to make up with my boyfriend, I have to make up with my mother, but the attempts are not always successful. Pero yeah, I really like the visuals in this film. Actually, out of all of the films in this fest, this is probably one of the ones I liked too. Pero yeah, Cess, do you have a question?
May pagka-Asian cinema feels ba siya? Kasi parang ganun yung poster niya. Tsaka yung synopsis niya.
I would Asian cinema per se, I don't know. Maybe aesthetic wise, pero it's more of yung parang it's may para siyang mas pumapasok siya in general pandemic cinema, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's more something like that. Pero Jay, I'd like to hear your thoughts about You Are Here.
Yeah, but I think similar din siya with Living Dead in terms of yung pandemic feels, but siguro ito naman very kung yung concept yung Living Dead is conceptual, I think yung You Are Here naman is very straightforward, and its attempt to parang to throw in a lot of elements in just so short a time. Parang nag-reflect din siya sa anxiety, I guess, of the filmmaker.
Yeah.
So yun yung nagustuhan ko. And yung You Are Here kasi part siya ng 24-hour filmmaking competition. Yung Mindanao Film Festival, they started like 5 years ago to introduce a section of 24-hour films, no? So nung wala pang pandemic, it was done in a race. So may mga challenges, and then throughout the 24 hours ng mga challenges, in the midst of it, gumagawa sila ng film. So parang doble nakapagod siya actually na concept, race at the same time filmmaking. But this time kasi nga online, so ang napili na theme was screen life. And I think ito yung film out of all the 6 films under that theme na screen life, for me really captured what screen life is. Kasi everything was really like, from what I can sense dun sa film, was really recorded sa screen. No? Screen life talaga siya. Kasi yung ibang films, there's an element of parang disconnect to the screen life aspect kasi parang feeling mo this was like filmed digitally or filmed separately from the screen. Pero ito talaga, it really plunges you into that state of anxiety. Kaya siya yung nagustuhan ko talaga sa out of the 6 screen life films. Yep.
Yan. Okay. So that ends our short episode on the Mindanao Film Fest. Actually, this is my first time hearing about this film fest. No? Parang I just heard it. I think someone else, I think si Glenn Abegonia yan. Doon
si
ko siya,
Jim.
Yeah. Si Glenn, I saw him parang yung ratings niya.
Yeah.
Sabi ko, uy, yun. Nakita ko lang.
Si Jim lang nag-share. I think, wait lang. May ano to, no? May feedback pala si Jim. Si Jim Paramnal. Who is currently taking a rest from work. So, ang sabi niya, isa lang yung napanood niya, which is yung kay Tristan Perez. Which pareho niya daw nagustuhan kasi para may Nawapol treatment.
May pagkano. The title of that film is The Man Who Isn't There and Other Stories of Longing.
Parang, di ba UP student si Tristan Perez?
I think so, yeah. Parang mga fellow classmates niya yung actors in the film, which is pretty impressive given na yung a film like this ay madadala lang dapat ng acting. Otherwise, it wouldn't work eh. Pero it worked for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yun lang. I guess, yun. No, Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you also for inviting me.
Sa susunod ulit, yan.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Jay, di ba may podcast ka din? If you'd like to,
if you
promote your upcoming films, projects, sariling shows. Yes, may show, mall show.
Very showbiz eh.
Virtual mall tour.
Yun. Actually, promote ko lang yung before MFF kasi involved din ako sa Ngilngig. So actually, yung Ngilngig yung parang mother festival ko kasi doon talaga ako yung main programmer, and then parang yun, I just help MFF sa programming na aspect, pero sa Ngilngig programming, organizing doon. And then unfortunately, actually today yata yung last screening ng mga films. Yung online edition namin is parang look back on the past films kasi we decided to not call for entries, no. So ayun, I think yung bago lang na film that we were able to showcase this year sa Ngilngig it's an omnibus of 1-minute short films. We ask filmmakers who have been part of Ngilngig, si Carla Ocampo has a film there. Sino pa ba? Yeah, and other filmmakers na naging part ng Ngilngig. So available siya sa ngilngig.net if you want to see it's a 20-minute omnibus film of 1-minute short films yung depicting the Ngilngig experience during the pandemic of filmmakers. So yun.
Awesome. All right. So ayun, thanks again for listening, guys. If ever this is your first time listening to us, just follow us on, may pagano na ako.
May pagano na tayo.
On Spotify, Film Police Reviews website, you can download the episode for free doon para pwede niyo siya pakinggan offline. And Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, yun.
Ayun.
So, thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sess and John. Good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good morning, good night.
Amping.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.